Most of you do know. But if you don't, I was blocked by Ryan Reynolds. Yes. So Joe Rogan just entered the chat and he is team Justin Baldoni.
When Hollywood's glitter turns to grime, everything you thought you knew can flip in an instant. One day, you're cheering for a star-studded power couple known for their social media charm and blockbuster success. The next, you're hearing they're neck-deep in a swirling controversy that involves alleged false accusations, a $400 million lawsuit, and none other than Joe Rogan wading into the crossfire. If that sounds like the setup to a scandalous novel, think again. It's happening right now, and it's shaking up the entertainment world in ways few saw coming. At the heart of this storm stands Justin Baldoni, a seemingly down-to-earth actor, director, and producer. Opposite him, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, once seen as Hollywood's picture-perfect duo who could do no wrong. But the picture looks less perfect these days. Accusations of weaponized harassment claims, questionable behind-the-scenes power moves, and an onslaught of alleged manipulation have turned the spotlight away from their ideal celebrity marriage and onto a tense legal battleground. Then came Joe Rogan, unfiltered, influential, and relentless, calling out what he believes is a blatant abuse of serious social movements like Me Too. Suddenly, a story that might have stayed hushed behind closed doors is exploding into headlines. But is there more to this than meets the eye? The deeper you dig, the more receipts surface, revealing texts, emails, and a meticulously documented timeline of events that challenge the official narrative. Was Justin Baldoni simply a target of Hollywood politics gone too far? Did Lively and Reynolds overreach in a power grab that's backfired magnificently? And how did Joe Rogan's fiery commentary make this controversy impossible for the general public and the media bigwigs to ignore? Buckle up. This saga is about more than gossip. It's about how easy it is to weaponize an accusation when you have star power, and how one individual's decision to fight back could alter Hollywood's age-old smear and spin strategy. Let's break it down piece by piece and see how the story that began as whispered allegations has now become a cautionary tale for the entire industry. Joe Rogan has interviewed scientists, comedians, athletes, and politicians. His reach spans millions of subscribers, from fitness aficionados to curious minds who just enjoy his raw, no-holds-barred takes. So when Rogan decided to comment on the swirling drama around Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively, and Ryan Reynolds, people listened. They didn't just lean in. They practically started taking notes. What caught everyone's attention was Rogan's unapologetic stance. He didn't dance around the issue or hint at it subtly. He called it out, flat out declaring that something nefarious seemed to be unfolding, with Lively and Reynolds orchestrating a smear campaign against Baldoni for control over a film project. In an industry where big stars often enjoy unquestioned credibility, it was jarring to see a media figure of Rogan's caliber hold them to the same scrutiny as any random rumor peddler on the internet. Rogan's statements hit especially hard because of how influential he is among everyday listeners. Unlike gossip blogs or hyper-partisan outlets, his podcast captures a broad slice of the population, from suburban dads driving home after work to sports junkies in the gym. By bringing up the allegations of false harassment claims, power grabs, and shady Hollywood tactics, Rogan effectively placed a magnifying glass over the entire scandal. Suddenly, it wasn't just die-hard fans of Baldoni or casual Lively Reynolds observers who were hearing this. It was millions of regular folks who otherwise might not care about Hollywood feuds. The combination of Rogan's straightforward approach and Baldoni's alleged receipts turned what could have been a one-sided narrative into a massive question mark. Did Blake and Ryan really go that far to wrestle control of a film? But that wasn't all Rogan offered. He drew parallels to recent controversies where public opinion made a drastic turn once real evidence came to light. He referenced big names, big cases, and the way powerful players in Hollywood often use the media to spin the story before anyone can fight back. Then, once the story becomes official, it's almost impossible to undo the damage, even if you have hard proof. In the end, Rogan's involvement signaled a new chapter in this escalating drama. Instead of hush allegations kept behind closed doors, we now had a major media personality comparing this fiasco to some of the most notable celebrity legal showdowns in recent history. That moment changed everything, opening the floodgates of public scrutiny and giving Baldoni the microphone he needed to counter the narrative. But that wasn't the whole story. The crux of the entire conflict rests on who held real power and who abused it. When Blake Lively's harassment allegations first leaked, the immediate assumption was that she was a vulnerable actress encountering adversity on set. After all, she's had a mostly wholesome public image, the glamorous actress with a strong social media presence, mother to multiple kids with Ryan Reynolds, often championing progressive causes. In short, the last person you'd suspect of questionable tactics behind closed doors. Yet, as details emerged, a starkly different narrative surfaced. According to multiple accounts, Lively wasn't just an actress for the film adaptation of It Ends With Us. She was also given producer status, complete with the official PGA, Producers Guild of America credit. That's no small position. Producer-level involvement means real authority, deciding who composes the music, who gets fired, who's allowed on set, and sometimes even controlling how the final cut is shaped. Insiders claim that Lively took these powers and ran with them. Stories circulated that she had staff let go at her discretion, replaced entire departments, and essentially locked Baldoni, who was both directing and producing the film, out of key decisions. The biggest bombshell? Allegations that Lively demanded exclusivity over certain creative calls, telling others that she was now in control of the film. For someone presenting herself as a victim of harassment, those are some heavy moves. Skeptics might ask, why would she do that? Several theories have floated around, from personal ambitions to rumored behind-the-scenes conflicts with other producers. Perhaps she didn't trust Baldoni's direction. Maybe she believed that seizing creative control would elevate her status or open future production opportunities. Whatever the reason, the power dynamic she exhibited cast serious doubt on the original claim that she was merely a target of workplace hostility. This raises a pressing question. If Blake Lively had the authority to override key production decisions, could she still be considered a victim in the way she publicly portrayed? Legally, harassment protections apply regardless of one's title. Yet it's highly unusual for someone who holds the reins, who can hire, fire, and shape the film, to simultaneously argue they had no agency when alleged mistreatment occurred. Adding fuel to this confusion were the comments suggesting that Lively used her influence to keep Baldoni out of certain spaces, from cutting room access to on-set creative discussions. That's a role typically reserved for someone high up the chain of command. Exactly the sort of role that would undermine her claims of being sidelined or oppressed. If anything, it might point to a scenario where Baldoni was the one getting stonewalled, and what happened next would shock everyone. When Justin Baldoni decided to fire back, he didn't just post a cryptic tweet or drop a sneaky Instagram hint. He launched a legal canon, filing a staggering $400 million lawsuit that names not only Blake Lively, but Ryan Reynolds, their PR handlers, and even some prominent media entities in its crosshairs. Instantly, the lawsuit became the talk of the town, with insiders wondering if Baldoni was making a statement. He wasn't there to negotiate quietly behind closed doors. He wanted everything out in the open. So why $400 million? For many, that jaw-dropping figure served as an attention grabber, but it also reflects the scope of what Baldoni believes was done to him. It's not just defamation in a casual sense. The lawsuit alleges extortion, false light invasion of privacy, and a sustained campaign to destroy his livelihood, brand, and mental health. Baldoni is arguing that these false allegations weren't an isolated misunderstanding, but rather a calculated move to push him out of the very film he helped bring to life, and possibly sabotage his broader career. Critics of Lively and Reynolds also point out that this isn't the first time big-name stars or studios have used media-friendly narratives to corner someone. Hollywood's history is littered with stories of smear campaigns orchestrated against directors, writers, or producers who dared to push back against powerful figures. Still, it's rare for someone to respond with such a high-stakes legal blitz. The lawsuit's reach goes beyond the star couple. Mainstream outlets like the New York Times are facing scrutiny for allegedly parroting Lively's side of the story without thorough fact-checking. Baldoni's legal team is reportedly pulling no punches, wanting every detail of how these outlets sourced and spun their stories. This means the case isn't just about the individuals, it's about an entire system where fame and PR connections can overshadow due diligence. Detractors claim Baldoni is overreaching, painting the lawsuit as an attempt to generate headlines. Yet every time new evidence surfaces, text messages, emails, behind-the-scenes footage, the tide shifts a little more in his favor. And with Joe Rogan amplifying these inconsistencies, the public is no longer taking claims at face value. People are digging deeper, asking the tough questions the mainstream media initially glossed over. Ultimately, whether or not Baldoni wins this legal war, his lawsuit has already changed the conversation. It puts a massive spotlight on how swiftly reputations can be ruined by high-profile accusations, and how crucial documented receipts can be in challenging those allegations. With $400 million on the line, the stakes couldn't be higher for both sides. But the real bombshells came when Baldoni revealed hidden communications. In most celebrity scandals, it's a battle of statements and counter-statements. One star does an interview, the other issues a publicist-approved response. Back and forth it goes, and the truth is often lost somewhere in the spin cycle. Not this time. Justin Baldoni decided to publish a trove of evidence, from text messages to voice notes, each one adding a layer to the puzzle. One of the most jaw-dropping pieces of evidence involves an incident where Blake Lively claimed Baldoni invaded her privacy by walking into her trailer while she was breastfeeding. On the surface, that allegation is serious. It implies a breach of boundaries that no one should take lightly. Then Baldoni showed the texts. In them, Blake apparently invited him in. If true, that's a direct contradiction of her story. The question is, why would she claim something that concrete if she knew a written record could demolish it? Another set of receipts shows Lively communicating changes to the production, changes that typically only a producer or director would orchestrate. From hiring and firing staff to reassigning responsibilities, these messages paint a picture of someone fully in control, not a powerless cast member. This tangles the narrative even further. If Lively truly had the final say on personnel decisions, how does that square with her claim that Baldoni was the one mistreating her or throwing his weight around? Adding yet another layer of complexity, there are voice notes said to be from behind-the-scenes discussions. While the exact content of these notes hasn't all been made public, teasers suggest they reveal the extent to which Lively, Reynolds, and certain PR agents strategized about leveraging harassment allegations to strong-arm creative control. Again, these are allegations until a court confirms them, but in the court of public opinion, they're already causing massive waves. The reaction to these receipts has been swift and intense. Supporters of Lively accuse Baldoni of selective editing, claiming the context might be missing or that the messages could be doctored. Baldoni's camp insists everything is authentic and has encouraged critics to look for any sign of manipulation. Meanwhile, fans are left wondering how a couple once lauded for philanthropic efforts and comedic charm could find themselves at the center of such a storm. None of this is just about who walked into a trailer at the wrong time. It's about whether a globally recognized actress and her A-list husband weaponized a serious movement for personal gain. If even a fraction of these receipts hold up in court, the fallout could be monumental. And for those who dismissed Baldoni, at the outset, it's a stark reminder that in this digital age, text messages and recordings can upend the most carefully curated public persona. Yet the mainstream media's initial coverage told a very different story. The moment Blake Lively's allegations surfaced, many major outlets pounced on them as if they were set in stone. Headlines framed Baldoni as a problematic figure and Lively as a courageous whistleblower. Social media posts championed her bravery, urging the industry to do better and believe women. It seemed open and shut, at least for a news cycle or two. But something curious happened when Baldoni's evidence started trickling out. Those same outlets appeared far slower and less enthusiastic to report on the contradictions. Stories that had originally been front-page news were relegated to minor mentions or shrouded in phrases like allegedly and reportedly. Some publications simply ignored the new developments altogether, seemingly waiting to see if the controversy would fade before addressing the details. Critics argue that the media's handling of this situation reflects a broader problem, a willingness to accept accusations from popular, well-connected celebrities at face value. Why? Possibly because stories that fit a particular narrative, especially if they involve big names with mainstream appeal, pull in clicks and attention. There's also the reality that top-tier stars maintain relationships with the press, offering exclusive interviews, photo ops, and insider scoops. Damaging that relationship can come at a professional cost for journalists. Yet the rise of independent commentators and podcasters like Joe Rogan complicates that dynamic. Rogan's discussion reached millions who don't rely on traditional outlets for their news. Other content creators, observing the glaring inconsistencies, started producing in-depth breakdowns, diving into legal filings and text messages. As a result, the official story pushed by A-list publicists found itself in a tug-of-war with a grassroots investigative wave. This collision of narratives has led to fierce debates. Should the media apologize for jumping to conclusions? Are they obligated to cover the conflicting evidence with the same intensity as the original accusations? Some argue that the very purpose of journalism is to ask hard questions, not to repeat PR lines. Others defend the outlets, insisting they reported what they knew at the time, and new information only came to light later. Regardless, the whiplash in coverage has left a lingering question. If someone of Justin Baldoni's moderate fame can be so swiftly condemned, imagine how easy it is to ruin the life of an unknown individual with no platform. This scandal isn't just about celebrities squabbling. It's about the potential damage of uncritical reporting and the fine line between supporting victims and verifying facts. But the public reaction to these revelations took an even more drastic turn. Once upon a time, Ryan Reynolds was the everyman hero. Deadpool, the witty Twitter personality, the affable businessman with clever ad campaigns. Blake Lively was the poised star with a radiant smile, regularly hailed for her fashion sense and supportive approach to important causes. In the eyes of millions, they were the ultimate modern power couple. Comedic, philanthropic, seemingly grounded despite their A-list status. Then came the allegations, the countersuits, the receipts, and the Joe Rogan commentary. Suddenly, the same fans who used to fawn over their photos and banter on social media began asking tough questions. Message boards, Reddit threads, and X timelines lit up with discussions about how quickly the pair's carefully cultivated image seemed to unravel. Accusations flew that they misused a serious issue, harassment, to gain leverage. For some fans, the most stinging betrayal was that they had defended Lively and Reynolds for years against skeptics who called them too perfect. Others simply felt duped. They had bought into the idea that the couple's humorous social media posts were a genuine reflection of their personalities, only to discover alleged manipulations that betray a different reality. Then there's the brand fallout. Reynolds' personal ventures, once widely admired for their cheeky marketing, faced public criticism. Mint Mobile and Aviation Gin, brands so intrinsically tied to his comedic persona, found themselves caught in the wave of negativity. When the face of your brand is embroiled in a scandal involving possible false harassment claims, that brand's entire message can suddenly feel hollow. This backlash illustrates a broader cultural shift. Fans are no longer content to take a star's public persona at face value. They're ready to pivot, sometimes harshly if it appears that persona was built on manipulative, dishonest behavior. The exact scale of the damage remains to be seen. But comments from ex-supporters have already labeled both Ryan and Blake as toxic, manipulative, and fake do-gooders. What might have been a short-lived PR hiccup is now a full-blown credibility crisis. Fans who once championed the couple are either distancing themselves or demanding accountability. That's a significant shift for two individuals who seemed nearly bulletproof in the court of public opinion. And while celebrity controversies often blow over with enough time and calculated apologies, the open question is whether this one has struck too deep a chord to be brushed aside. Still, this scandal isn't just about losing fan support. It's also about the bigger cultural conversation surrounding the Me Too. Long before this scandal, movements like Me Too ignited vital conversations around harassment, workplace equality, and the need to support survivors. Celebrities, political figures, and everyday people came forward with painful stories, shedding light on systemic issues that had gone unaddressed for far too long. The result was a seismic shift, forcing industries from Hollywood to tech to reassess how they handle claims of misconduct. But what happens when these movements are weaponized? Critics watching the Baldoni versus Lively saga unfold argue that it highlights a disturbing possibility. People with enough clout could exploit social justice rhetoric for personal or professional gain. If even a portion of Baldoni's accusations stand, that Lively filed false harassment complaints to wrest control of a production, that's a catastrophic betrayal of a movement meant to protect genuine victims. This isn't just another celebrity tussle. It's a cautionary tale that underscores why verifying allegations is so essential. Blindly believing any single narrative, no matter who delivers it, can lead to injustices. For many, the notion that Blake Lively, someone widely celebrated for championing women's issues, could be involved in misusing those same issues to sabotage a colleague is a bitter pill to swallow. Meanwhile, the controversy also raises questions about male voices in these movements. Joe Rogan commented that men often feel sidelined or too nervous to question allegations for fear of backlash. Could that reticence inadvertently embolden a small minority who misuse the system? If so, the real victims are not just individuals, like Baldoni, if his claims are proven true, but also survivors whose legitimate cases might be met with greater skepticism in the future. A parallel discussion involves the media's role in shaping public perception. Early coverage treated Lively's claims as near gospel, reflecting a cultural moment where skepticism of a woman's story can be labeled misogynistic. Yet fair-minded observers point out that demanding evidence isn't hatred, it's a necessary guardrail to ensure the truth wins out. When real proof is overshadowed by the fear of appearing unsupportive, manipulative tactics can slip through unnoticed. So here we stand at a complex crossroads, supporting women who come forward, while also acknowledging that any system can be exploited by those looking to settle scores or seize power. For those deeply invested in modern feminism, the revelations here demand a nuanced approach. It's not about discrediting Me Too. It's about recognizing that real accountability goes both ways. And as more receipts surface, it becomes clearer that this story isn't just about celebrity drama. It's a microcosm of a much larger societal debate. Which brings us to the final revelation. How will this reshape Hollywood's age-old power dynamics? Hollywood loves a redemption arc, but right now it looks like we're witnessing a reckoning arc. The scandal engulfing Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and Justin Baldoni has all the hallmarks of a blockbuster script. Massive personalities, scandalous twists, hidden recordings, and even a cameo from the king of podcasts himself, Joe Rogan. Except this story isn't playing out on a movie screen. It's unfolding in real life, with reputations on the line and enormous legal stakes in play. In just a short span of time, the narrative flipped from Lively bravely stands up to harassment to, wait, is she the one pulling the strings? The $400 million lawsuit signals that Baldoni won't back down. He's demanding public accountability and is determined to show receipts that, if validated in court, could rock some of Hollywood's most powerful figures. Meanwhile, Lively and Reynolds, once revered for their clever social media banter and philanthropic gestures, now look like they're scrambling to manage a PR meltdown that grows more unmanageable by the day. Beyond the celebrity drama, this saga forces us to reconsider how we treat serious accusations. Should someone be believed solely because they're famous or because we admire their brand persona? Should the media be allowed to run one-sided stories without cross-checking sources? If Baldoni's evidence holds up, it might set a precedent that encourages other wronged individuals to speak up, even against industry titans. Ultimately, we're left with a story that's as cautionary as it is sensational. Trust once broken is tough to rebuild. Feminist ideals once undermined can sow doubt in future cases, and reputations once tarnished may never fully recover. Perhaps the real lesson is that in an era fueled by viral soundbites and swift judgments, the power of receipts has never been greater. No matter how beloved someone is, they can't outrun hard evidence forever. So as we watch the final chapters of this legal and public relations storm unfold, keep one question in mind. Will this case lead to lasting change? Or will Hollywood find a way to spin yet another narrative, hoping we forget the details once the next red carpet spectacle distracts us? One thing's for sure, the genie is out of the bottle. Joe Rogan's relentless spotlight, Justin Baldoni's unwavering lawsuit, and the public's thirst for authenticity have combined to form a wave that might finally wash away some of Tinseltown's deepest illusions. And in a world where allegations can shatter a career overnight, maybe we're better off giving every claim a thorough look and demanding that whoever makes it, no matter how famous, be prepared to stand by it with verifiable proof. Because the stakes are no longer just about who wins a celebrity standoff, they're about the integrity of entire movements and the fair treatment of those who truly need our support. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and drop a comment if you want more deep dives into Hollywood's hidden truths.